race 9, and we've arrived in Detroit for the ERL INDYCAR Series. Matty Medvac starting this one from pole for Chip Ganassi. Chip Ganassi Racing, they've had a pretty tough time of it in Season 3, not able to continue that near championship winning form that we've seen throughout most of their time in INDYCAR. O'Quee starting second, the Dutchman definitely playing second fiddle to the other Dutchman on the grid for most of the season, and he's yet to take a race win despite racing in both the FG Series back in its only season and in the first two INDYCAR series. He's yet to take a race win. Akari Lopez, he's taken victory in both ERL categories that he's driven in, and he's looking to try and get his first INDYCAR championship, and more than that, to become the first man to win in both INDYCAR and in Formula E in terms of the championship. An RQ behind him, looking for a Formula E seat next season in Season 25, and his time in INDYCAR so far hasn't actually been all that bad. He's got the reigning champion Max Bortcar and the championship leader Linus Eriksson lining up behind him. Gabriel Labogton in the 19 for AJ Foyt. He starts 7th from Tommy Daph Sanchez, and this man, Devin Butler, who faced a very, very large slump after winning 2 races in the first 3 rounds of this season. Devin Colby starts 11th from Gasly and Creole. Then Catfish, car number 2, also being linked to a Formula E seat at Power. This is the second time that rumours of him going to UKable's team have been circulating. And he's got Ray Shen for company. Milsar Smiker starts 16th for Sims High Speed, who will be rebranding to Manfei Racing for Season 4. Then it's Wek Loco in 17th from Lamphong. Carson Thornburg, the more experienced of the 2 Chip Ganassi drivers so far down the order compared to the other one. Dominic Hudson, Bob Marino, and teammate Lewis Olsen. For Matty Medvac in the 66 car. Pace car's about to pull into the pits. The 66, well, it won a championship in the ERL or INDYCAR Series back in Season 1 with Kwon Todoroki. Can Matty Medvac bring another race win to the 66? It's the ERL INDYCAR Series here at Detroit, and we get underway now. Heading down towards the first chicane, you can see some drivers further back looking to try and pull down the inside, but as for the top brass, they are keeping it single file, which is what we often see. Tommy looks for a move where Loco's got a time penalty and already a full course caution, and that is Nevin Colby, who hit the wall. And you saw that Sims High Speed car collided with Wek Loco and just forced into the wall, lost a tire, and that is day over for the Malaysian driver in the 37, and that's really unfortunate to be taken out this early. This is the fastest track that we've got on the calendar so far, and look at that in the mid-pack, congregating and colliding down there. Full course cautions ending, and we get back underway. That's something that we don't really see in any ERL category. Last time we saw anything like that, and it was really impactful. You've got to go back to Season 1 Formula E in Las Vegas, where the race win was decided on an incident like that. You can see the drivers there going so far off the track that the track limits warnings might as well not exist, considering everyone's doing them. Heading down into the final turn, and that's Max Bortcar who was trying to make the move. Akari, who looked for a move on Quee, just couldn't quite get it done, but running the final turn, Medvac leads from Quee and Akari. What a top 3 we've got lined up here. Tommy with the fastest lap at 132. Gasly sets a 132. Hudson goes to 130. Brilliant stuff from the man who's now up into 13th. Heading through the chicane they go. Side-by-side action for most of the pack. Gasly's got a time penalty for causing a collision. That's one of the Penske's. Wek Loco going off the track. But aside from that, unlike lap 1, they've kept it relatively clean. And that's Gabriel Labogton. Look to try and go around the outside of Tommy. Couldn't quite get the move done. The 45 looking down the inside of Max Bortcar. Holds his nerve and takes 6th in front of Gabriel. Now he looks to try and get past Max and just can't get it done yet. He's not close enough to the number 29. Attack mode is online on lap 3. And you can see now the 45 in the slipstream of INDYCAR and an OQ. That is the other Power Motorsports car, Pierre Gasly, you saw there going side by side with our man Creole, who's got a track limits warning, the rookie driver, as have most of the rookies this season, doing a very good job. But Prix closing up to the back of a man in front of him. Another rookie, Manny Medvac, as we go on to lap 4. The Dutchman, set to 112.5, goes side by side and into the lead here in Detroit. Prix leads the Detroit Grand Prix. Meanwhile, further back, Tommy looking for the lunge on INDYCAR, takes 5th for a second there, has to look somewhere else to hold on to the position. You saw further behind so many drivers going off the track looking for any morsel of a position to be gained. And you can see Tommy as well. Oh, out of the race, it's Prix! Oh, Prix is out! Oh dear! It was a good move he made. Of course, with the aid of attack mode. But now, we are back under the full course cautions. Marino's been given a time penalty for causing a collision. And for the second time in this race, we've got yellows. As the full course cautions are now ending, Manny Medvac reclaims the race lead. Akari 6 seconds off the back as we now get back under greens. We've got an Andretti 4-5 here, and they've got Tommy close behind him. Here comes the 45 in the slipstream of Sanchez in front, goes side by side. These two have raced in Formula E before, but now in INDYCAR, that's so close to contact. Oh! Daf Sanchez out of the race. It's another full course caution. You never see incidents down there. But the one time we have, it's a big one. And it is Daf Sanchez out on lap 4. On to lap 5 of 13 we go under the full course yellows. As in comes Prix and INDYCAR. This is a good time to stop. For Catfish as well, who's outside of the points, he could use this opportunity. And we're about to go back to green for Andretti, for Sims, and for Hyperdrive. They have to gamble on strategy, to be honest with you. Otherwise, they are going to get nothing out of this. Out of the pits comes Catfish on the hard compound tyres. He's the first man to go onto them. As we watch the 66, Manny Medvac for Chip Ganassi, leading the pack. 4 seconds in front of the car, and he's into the wall! Manny Medvac's in the wall, also into the wall. That's Akari Lopez who takes the lead off the wall riding. Down the chicane, it's a downhill chicane, into the wall for Pierre Gasly as well. Out of the race for our man Creole. Wall ride there, and it's another full course caution. Gasly's got a time penalty to its name. And Akari Lopez now leads in Detroit. This could be brilliant for his championship hopes. He could close the gap to Linus Eriksson. He can't take the lead of the championship as it stands, but he will do a brilliant job of closing in. His teammate, however, out of this race. He's got damage. Gasly's got damage. Medvac has not got damage. But of course, he hit the wall first, so he does have some damage. Eriksson actually has a bit of it. As we now get back under greens, and Gasly didn't get the best restart possible. He's slow. Got a slow number 3 there. Dropping behind Devin Butler now. And that's how much the aero actually matters with these Indy cars. You do need a lot of grip around these tracks as Eriksson gets past Manny Medvac. That's a great move from the championship leader as he now pulls into pit lane. Medvac follows him in. That's almost everyone into the pits. Who's staying out there? I think that's INDYCAR staying out with an OQ. So an OQ leads from Max INDYCAR and Lewis Olsen, who's done 6 laps on his soft tyres. Then it's Tommy, Gabriella Bogdan, and Awful Catfish as they head through the first chicane. This track mainly made up of chicanes, of course. As you can see, Tommy getting past Lewis Olsen to take P3 there. On board we go with the 95. Started at the back of the pack, and they are gambling with strategy down at Meyer Shank. And he doesn't actually have a button in his wing mirrors, and that's a good thing as he heads through the chicane. That's close to the wall. That's into the wall for Lewis Olsen. Didn't hit it too hard, though, so he's been able to get himself out of there quite quickly. And with minimal damage as well. There was a brief yellow flag there. And I mean really brief, and that's good for the number 95. You can see Catfish looking for a move on Gabriel there. Will he move up into 4th? He does get 4th from Lewis Olsen as well. So that's 2 positions made. Heading through that chicane there. Millsouth Micah, fastest second sector of anybody. Heading down into the final turn. And you can see Gabriel on the back of Lewis Olsen gets past him. And he's likely to pit Akari with a track limits warning. A second one of the day goes side by side with Linus Eriksson. That's not Linus Eriksson, that's Manny Medvec. He's alongside with, and he moves up into 13th. Ray Shen with the fastest lap in 7th. Marino goes even faster in 9th. Bob Marino was at the back of the pack early on in this race. The fact that he's up into 9th is just the strategy game working out down at Maya Shank as Medvec moves back up into 12th. We've got a full course caution. It's an RQ! An RQ out of the race! And that seems to have been a big hit for the Power Motorsports driver. We are back under the full course cautions with Tommy at the head of the pack. One Hong Kong driver replaced with another. And you can see Wek Loco from Hungary. Good stuff from him in the 35 to be up in 5th right now. But the full course cautions are now ending. And Tommy will lead us back to green on lap 7 of 13. It's the ERL INDYCAR Series at Detroit for round number 9. On board we go with car number 29. That's a very good exit for the reigning champion. For Max Bortkar, his hopes of defending the championship here in INDYCAR do not seem to be that likely as Marino drops down to P10 behind the current championship leader, who's looking for a move on Carson Thornburg. We go on board with the 8. Can he take 8th? He can't. He lifted way too much just to make sure that he didn't collide with Carson. In comes Milsos Micah for his second stop. Will this race be a 2-stopper? Could we even see a 3-stopper for most drivers? Either way, mediums going on for the Sims man, Wek Loco. Oh, we've got yellows in the first sector. That's Marino off the track. Wek Loco was given a track limits warning. A lot of weaving for Medvec as well. What happened down there to cause the yellows? Eriksson's got a penalty, and we've got a full course caution. It's awful. Catfish. Catfish out of this race and on the main straight. Luckily, they were able to clear that one up quite quickly. And we are back under the full course yellows, folks, with both Hyperdrives out of this race. Hyperdrive Racing, a team that always shows pace, but for whatever reason they just struggle to win. But we are back under the greens. Akari in the slipstream of Bob Marino should be able to get past him quite quickly. But he's got to get past Medvec as well. And Thornburg, can he get 3 positions? He can! Ooh, that is the move of the champion. So you can see further back, the 2 Chip Ganassi trying to defend from Bob Marino as well in the 14 there. You can see the Mexican driver as they come through the final turn. Thornburg and Medvec going side by side. I think one of them might pit, maybe. We've got the floodlights on. We are losing some daylight as into the pits comes Gabriel Labargson and Bob Marino as well. Tommy heading the pack on lap 9. This guy was nowhere in qualifying, to be honest. As Bortkar now closing in to the multiple-time Formula E race winner. Heads through the chicane now and is into the wall! Big moment out of the race for Max Bortkar too! We are back under the full course cautions, folks. Neither Andretti will finish. Front wing damage for Tommy, so we'll have to pit soon too. And this race here in Detroit, well, it's just like anything else that you see in Detroit. It is insane, and you love it because of how insane it is. We are down to 15 races here as we get back under the green flags. And Shen should be closing in on Tommy. So you can see Akari darting all over the back of Whack Loco. Goes side by side with the Penske driver. Moves up into third position. It's now into the slipstream of Shen in front. Makes sure not to leave any room for Thornburg and Loco as they go side by side, almost banging wheels. Medvec went off the track there. As here comes the Hungarian. Will he be able to get past Carson? He won't. But he's still got a good line. Almost as good as Elana Shen, who's got a time penalty. We've got some very rapidly darkening clouds. How did that even happen for Ray? In comes Loco and Shen. As you can see, their pit boxes coming out. They are doing the two-stop. Akari Lopez now leads. And look at that. That's 3 wide into the first chicane between Thornburg, Medvec, and Linus Eriksson, who goes off the track. The championship leader drops to 5th. Of course, he's got that time penalty anyway, so it's still not the best race to have here in Detroit. But you can see Gasly goes past. What is happening to Linus Eriksson today? Of course, you can't always have a good day. And we've got yellows. Akari is out. Akari Lopez out in Detroit. That is the stricken Pinnacle Motorsport car there. And Medvec is back up to the front on lap 10 of 13. This race here in Detroit, folks, this is just unbelievable for the most part. We are separated by 20 seconds, of course, but then when you look at the top 10, we're only separated by 6 between Medvec down to Lebargton. And the full course cautions end, and we get back underway. There's action everywhere you look. Dominic Hudson, who's won in Indianapolis before, he's looking at a potential podium today. Linus Eriksson, the championship leader, he's looking to extend his championship gap quite massively, but he can't do that too well if drivers like Lewis Olsen get past him. And of course, with that time penalty, he wouldn't even be scoring points today. Running that final turn in the slipstream, I think he might want to try coming in, but he won't. He'll go side by side with Olsen instead and move up into P3. It's a Chip Ganassi 1-2 here in Detroit. It's Medvec from Thornburg and Eriksson, and you can see there Milsos moves up into 4th as Lebargton also getting past Lewis Olsen, whose soft tyres, they've seemingly had it. Milsos moves in front. Tommy's got a time penalty further back for colliding with Bob Marino, heading down the hill into the chicane. It's still Matty Medvec up front, hits the wall, loses his front wing. His teammate comes down through the chicane too. Through the yellows they come, so there shouldn't be an incident down there, close to the wall for Bob Marino, but keeps it out. There's still front wing debris down there, so they're going to have to clear that one up quite quickly. Ray Shen weaving a lot through that chicane. Haven't really mentioned Lam Fong, but he's at the back of the pack. Medvec, of course, under threat, and it's Gabriel Lebargton in the 19 who takes the lead here in Detroit. Close to the wall for Matty. Butler's been given a 5-second time penalty for track limits. So this race, certainly not over yet. Milsos Micah up into 2nd. We're on board with the 11. The 11 of Milsos Micah. Lam Fong now with the fastest 2nd sector. We're on to the penultimate lap here in Detroit. It's Gabriel Lebargton in front of Milsos Micah, Carson Thornburg, and Matty Medvec. Then it's Lewis Olsen and behind Linus Eriksson in the fight for 5th as the 2 Chip Ganassi drivers side by side almost contact as Bob Marino has a collision with his own teammate. That's rule number 1 of racing. Never collide with your own teammate. Never hit your teammate. On board with Milsos, closing in on Gabriel. We don't expect to see drivers pit anytime soon. Out of the race for Gabriel Lebargton. Milsos Micah takes the lead. Sensational stuff that we're seeing in Detroit. That's day over for the AJ Foyt driver. And now, Milsos Micah, he could run away with this one, you know. He doesn't have competition. Marino, the man currently standing in 2nd, not only does he have a 5-second time penalty, but he's roughly 5 seconds behind the Polish driver. On the penultimate lap, Milsos Micah's got an open goal. All he has to do is finish. Thornburg struggling with his tyres in terms of the wear. He could be on for another puncture situation like we saw earlier on the season. Manny Medvec about to be passed by the championship leader of Linus Eriksson there. Moves up into 5th. Of course, that time penalty should drop him outside of the points. But of course, 4 drivers with time penalties, which will theoretically all drop him out of the points. Either way, though, as Medvec drops to 6th, Milsos Micah starts the final lap. As you can see, Lam Fong and Dominic Hudson fighting over 11th. Milsos for Sims High Speed. He's looking for victory for that team. Lewis Olsen forces Thornburg off the track. All he really has to do is make it through the chicane. It's a track limits warning for Lam Fong. Heading down the chicane for Milsos. That's close to the wall. He's into the wall. Also into the wall, Bob Marino. The Mexican driver and the Polish driver are both in the wall. And through goes Lewis Olsen. Milsos, who had led on lap 12, now sees that lead evaporate. He's down to 11th position. Lewis Olsen from 22nd and last on the grid on lap 1 finds himself leading here in Detroit. His teammate 2 seconds behind with that time penalty. He knows that there's nothing that could possibly end his race. For Lewis Olsen, he's got a rear puncture! Rear puncture! Full car puncture for Lewis Olsen! That's his day done! I don't believe it! Carson Thornburg! It's redemption day for the 97! He takes victory in Detroit from Tommy and Linus Eriksson on the line! Oh my goodness! What a finish! I thought Olsen had it! He'll come home with 10th! My goodness me! A full car puncture for Manny Medvec as well! Wow! What a race! Here in Detroit! What a race! But this is your podium. And it is Carson Thornburg taking victory here in Detroit from WEC Loco, taking the first podium for a Hungarian driver since not Lewis Hamilton, and Ray Shen coming home in P3. Then it's Bob Marino, Tommy, Linus Eriksson, Dominic Hudson, and Lam Fong, the top 8 from Olsen and Pierre Gasly. As for the 3 drivers outside of the top 10 who finished this race, there's Milsos Micah, Devin Butler, Manny Medvec, and the non-finishers were Gabriela Barton, Akari Lopez, Max Portcar, Catfish, Anokyu, Armand Creel, Dav Sanchez, Okui, and Niven Colby. In the drivers' standings, Linus Eriksson leads 30 points up on Akari Lopez, then it's Creel, Portcar, Thornburg, and Niven Colby. Then it's Butler, Medvec, and Awful Catfish, who's 1 point in front of Sanchez, and Dominic Hudson tied on points with Milsos Micah. Then Gabriela Barton in 13th from Bob Marino and Tommy. Then it's Ray Shen, WEC Loco, Anokyu, Pierre Gasly tied with Okui. Then it's Olsen and Lam Fong. So heading into the 10th round of the championship here in the ERL INDYCAR Series in Texas, it's a dead heat up front between Apex Pinnacle and Arrow and McLaren SP. Then it's a 1 point difference between Chip Ganassi Racing and Andretti Green Racing. 10 points back, you'll find Sims High Speed, AJ Foyt, Enterprise on 79 points, who's only 1 point in front of Team Penske. Then it's Hyperdrive BBX, Maya Shank Racing tied with Power Motorsport, and Revolution Racing in 11th. We will see you guys next time then when the ERL INDYCAR Series returns.